My dear friends, I would like to leave you with a thought of the week, of the portion of the week that will be read Mi'at Hashem this coming Shabbos, the portions of Matos and Maseh, which are the concluding portions of the book of Chumash Bamidbar. Now, in the first of the two sedras, in the first of the two portions, we read that about the dividing up of the Holy Land, how it was divided up amongst the tribes of Israel. And Torah tells us over there that the children of Reuven and Gad were very wealthy, and they had much cattle. They had many great, large herds of cattle, and they needed an awful lot of rich grazing land. And when they came and they took a look, and they saw that on this side of the Jordan, the land was very fat and rich and very good for pasture. And so they came to Moshe Rabbeinu, and they made him a proposition. They presented the following proposition to him, and they said to him, listen, if we have found grace in your eyes, please give us this stretch of land for us, that we should be able to settle on this. Don't make us cross the Jordan. And here we find a very historic comment coming from Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu speaks to the children of the tribe of Gad and the children of the tribe of Reuven. And he says to them the following: is this right in your minds, that your brothers should go to war and you should sit here? In other words, you're asking me to let you remain here on this side of the Jordan, but you're telling me that the rest of the 11 tribes should go across the Jordan and try to conquer the land and meet up with the wars with the enemies, for whom they will have to drive out of the land in order to be able to take it over. But you will be able to sit here in peace and harmony and just feed off the fat of the land. At this moment, we find that they make a deal with Moshe Rabbeinu, and they tell him that they will be happy to join in the battle for the land of Israel. And once they have accomplished that, they will return back to this side of the Jordan to settle here and to be able to take care of their wealth and their herds of cattle. And here, my dear friends, comes a very significant message of the Torah. We know that the word Torah itself is from the word Torah, which means enlightenment, which means teaching. Torah is supposed to be a guideline for each and every one of us. While Torah was given to us over 3,000 years ago, by the same token, we have to remember that Torah lives on with us in our everyday life. And Torah gives us a message every time we look into it and every time we read it and study it. When we read the portion of Matos, we have to think to ourselves, we have brethren who are constantly in the field of battle, trying to drive off the enemy. Now, there are two concepts. There is a physical war and a spiritual war. We know that in the world we are living today, perhaps we don't see so much the physical war. Although when we take a look what's going on in the Holy Land, and we take a look at the accidents, so-called accidents, and these treacherous incidents that take place where innocent people and men, women, and children are killed or maimed and so on, we say to ourselves, our brethren are at war. And the children and the people of Israel are constantly at war because the enemy never gives up and never lets up. Is it fair that they should have to go to war and constantly be a target for those who would want to annihilate them? We here in this country should sit by quietly. No, by no means. We have to be ready to respond. We have to be ready to respond in every way possible, with our money, with our help, with armaments, with anything and everything that our brethren need, so that they should be secure and safe, and so that the land of Israel may flourish, and that we prepare the land of Israel for the coming of Mashiach that came speedily in our days. But we also must remember the other war in which we are at. The war here in this country. Here we find the skinheads who have lifted up their heads lately and have become very prominent once again. The idea is the chutzpah on their part, that they are able to come out in the open and defy everything and everyone and try to show that they are open enemies both of our government and our people, and especially of the Jewish people. And nevertheless, they go out and they're doing their piece, they're doing their shtick, and I don't see yet the sharp response from our government, which is indeed, in my opinion, a foolish thing to do, to sit by quietly. This has to be crushed before they can pick their ugly heads up. But the question comes to our mind in a third dimension, and that is in a spiritual sense. In a spiritual sense, we find that we are today in a constant war with the evil inclination, with the temptations and the lusts that continue to surround us and tease us and tear us apart. We take a look when we open up a television today and we see what goes on the screen. It is something which is indeed horrifying, because it leads one off the path of purity and morality and righteousness and holiness. And the violence that we see is something which indeed makes a lasting impression upon our children. Children who are from the age of 3 see thousands of hours of television before they grow up to maturity. And the question comes to mind, will we let our brethren go to war alone without helping them? Will we not stretch out a helping hand to them and help them overcome their evil inclinations? Will we not give them the ammunition in order to destroy their enemy? Will we not give them a way of life in which they will be able to conduct themselves and be strong enough to ward off these temptations that come, if they're called drugs, or they're called alcohol, or they're used a fancy name, substance abuse, or they are called sex, or they are called gambling, or they are called any one of these other maladies that have surrounded and have made their inroads into the lives of our people. And let us not think that there are certain groups that are immune. Nobody is immune. Even those who are supposedly religious, if they are not careful, they could, God forbid, fall into the same trap. And so, my dear friends, this is the message that Torah sends out to each and every one of us, to be on guard, and one should strengthen the other. We should be unified in one. We should try to see to it to give the encouragement that we need in order to be able to drive away those terrible, terrible threats, that cancer that has eaten its way into the Jewish people, and to see to it that both young and old, our children especially, should not, God forbid, fall into this cesspool of the world, into these pitfalls which devour and destroy them totally, but they should come out smelling like a beautiful rose, a source of Yiddish and nachas, a source of pride and joy to God and man. But it starts with the parents. Don't leave it all to the rabbis. Don't leave it all to the educators. Don't leave it all to the schools. You have to start it at home. And from the home where the child is brought up and reared, from there it will go into the streets, and then finally into their lives, which will make them to be shining stars for God and man. Have a good week, and God bless you all.